Good morning. Welcome to the forecast discussion for January 1st, 2014. Happy New Year out there. And of course, we're starting off the new year with a bang, with the potential for a very significant winter storm for not only the New York City metropolitan area, but also the Philadelphia metropolitan area. Currently, we have temperatures ranging from the upper teens to lower 20s over the interior, mid 20s in the New York City metropolitan area, and mid to upper 20s in the Philadelphia metropolitan area. We have high pressure moving along, and we have an Arctic boundary to our north and west that's going to play a key factor in our winter storm by tomorrow night. Taking a look at the latest surface map from SPC, you can see here's our storm starting to brew and get itself organized. Plenty of humidity down here in the Gulf of Mexico, of course. And here's our Arctic boundary. This is going to be key here, this Arctic boundary, because we're going to have an Arctic disturbance diving south, and as this Arctic cold front drops south tomorrow afternoon, our temperatures are going to crash from the 20s and 30s over the interior and mid to upper 30s along the coast into the teens and 20s. And that is going to have a huge impact on our snow ratio on Thursday night into Friday morning and the potential for a rapidly intensifying winter storm. This is a very complicated forecast, one that is very changeable. Right now I'm kind of going on the conservative side with the forecast, but there is potential for a significant heavy snowfall from Philadelphia on east all the way through southern New England with this storm. Let's take a look at the radar. Very interesting setup here. Here's our subtropical jet stream with all its moisture. Here's our polar jet stream with snow showers breaking out. Now the idea here, and something I generally agree with for now, is that this band of snow will extend out towards Connecticut and southeast New York and through Pennsylvania. Bypassing Philadelphia will remain pretty much dry for this evening. Can't rule out an isolated snow shower, but we have a clear divide between this area of moisture and this area of moisture. That won't last long. It will last until tomorrow afternoon when everything starts to fill in as this disturbance and this disturbance phases. The question is, moving forward, do we have a third phase? That is the whole question with this entire forecast. So here we have the infrared satellite picture. Here's our high pressure system over New Jersey. Here's our Arctic high pressure system that will drive our cold Arctic air into the region tomorrow afternoon. And here's our Arctic boundary getting ready to set up to drop south. We clearly have plenty of lifting along the Gulf Coast and with our disturbance from the polar jet stream. When we zoom out a bit and take a look at the water vapor satellite picture, I overlaid the winds at 500 to 250 millibars. A couple of key, interesting, and important observations. One, here's our polar vortex shifting towards the Canadian Maritimes. This is our blocking system. This is what slows down the whole storm. Here is our polar disturbance. I'm sorry, but it's deeper than what the model guidance was suggesting, and it's digging south through Texas and already starting to interact with the subtropical jet stream here. Eventually, I think by tomorrow afternoon, we'll see these two streams in the atmosphere start to interact more in phase, and as a result, you'll see precipitation fill in rapidly over much of the northern mid-Atlantic as that phase develops. So look for a nice hole in the precipitation field tomorrow morning that is going to collapse by the time we get into the late afternoon hours, and you'll see those snow showers really fill in rapidly. Then, keep an eye on this disturbance here. This is the wild card. This is the game changer. This disturbance dives south and could, I think it will, interact with these two disturbances. Why is that important? I'm going to show you why. First, we're going to take a look at the GFS model guidance from last night. Now, the GFS and the European model guidance from last night generally agree with each other. A light to moderate snowfall, the worst of it's over southern New England, and this low pressure system is booking out into the Atlantic. Why is that the case? Well, let's look at 500 millibars. Now you see for tomorrow afternoon, see those two disturbances starting to interact. We see low pressure systems starting to focus over the mid-Atlantic coastal waters, and you can see that hole in the snow shield start to collapse. Here's our Arctic cold front, by the way, associated with one area of precipitation. Here's our subtropical jet stream. So clearly we have plenty of moisture to work with, and we have cold air on the way. Very cold air, not just your normal polar air where you get a 10-to-1 ratio. We're talking about an Arctic air mass where you have ratios from 15-to-1 to 30 to 1. That's 1 inch of rain equals 30 inches of snow. That's why we're a bit concerned here. That's why I'm concerned here. So on the GFS, basically by Thursday night into Friday morning, we start to see some interaction. The trough starts to go a little bit negative, but it's a little bit too late. So you have your surface low out here in the Atlantic. You have some light to moderate snow with a high ratio, thus the potential for accumulating snowfall and heavy snowfall in New York City and moderate snowfall in the Philadelphia metropolitan area. But the storm exits rapidly because there's nothing to hold it back. The Arctic disturbance phases too late, then it goes negative tilted, and this storm just bombs out. Now let's take a look at the latest NAM model guidance. This is where we're a bit concerned here, because this is fresh model guidance. Now we have all of the features here sampled. So here we are by tonight around 1 a.m. We have our polar disturbance and subtropical disturbance starting to interact. Here's our hole in the precipitation shield, which you would expect at this point. Here's our dry air. By the time we get to the afternoon hours on Thursday, we jump to Thursday evening. See that precipitation shield is collapsing, and you, as far as that hole, you see the precipitation field start to fill in, and you see our area low pressure starting to organize off of the East Coast. Notice a very key point here by tomorrow evening. Our trough is already starting to go into a slight negative tilt, and there's more interaction with the Arctic disturbance. We have blocking in the northern Atlantic. We have starting to see a little bit more of a tilt. By the time we get to 1 a.m., we have a clear negative tilt. This is clearly more of a negative tilt than what we've seen in GFS model guidance from last night. Why is this important? This is important because it leads to very strong lifting along the coastal waters of the mid-Atlantic, leads to a rapidly intensifying low pressure system closer to the coast, while Arctic air is crashing into the coastal plain. So you have rapidly rising snow ratios, you have heavy precipitation developing along the coast, and then you get a very heavy snowfall from Thursday evening through Friday morning as this low pressure system just explodes over the coastal waters of New England with very heavy snowfall that would be a bit more than what we're currently expecting. Here's a little bit more of a zoom in idea here. Again, you can see our temperatures kind of warm up a bit on Thursday afternoon. Then our Arctic cold front comes in. Here comes the heavy precipitation. Look at the temperatures just crash. We're talking about single digits and teens and 20s down to the coast. Why is this important? Because even if you get a lighter precipitation amount over Connecticut and portions of Massachusetts, your snow ratio is so high with this type of cold air that you are going to see significant heavy snowfall totals over a foot in these locations of Connecticut, southeastern New York, and northern New Jersey if this does transpire as what the NAM model guidance is showing. Along the New Jersey, New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan areas, you're in the game in both locations with this type of heavy QPF liquid precipitation developing here, and these temperatures is crashing. Now, I like to look for the heaviest snow bands to develop at 850 millibars between -4 and -8 degrees Celsius. And that's basically over the New York City metropolitan area, and that drops down to the Philadelphia metropolitan area moving forward. So everything here is combining to suggest that we could end up with far more of a significant snowfall event for the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area than what I'm currently expecting. Oh, and by the way, with this storm exploding like it does, even in the GFS solution, very strong winds, so look for very poor visibilities Thursday night into Friday morning. We're talking about near zero. That's even for the Philadelphia metropolitan area, even if you get lighter snow out of this. So here's basically the problem with this whole forecast. If the phase with the Arctic disturbance and this trough goes negative before midnight on Thursday night, you're going to end up with a far more dynamic and powerful snowstorm. If it's 3 hours later, literally 3 hours later, then the focus of the storm is primarily for southern New England and portions of the New York City metropolitan area, and we go with the going forecast I have in place. If it's like what the NAM is showing, then everyone gets into a significant heavy snowfall with near blizzard conditions. It's literally a 3-hour difference. That small of a difference. Again, here we are at 0Z on Thursday night. I'm going to show you the GFS here. GFS here is far more of a positive tilt trough with a slight positive edge. Just a slight one, but it's enough. It's enough to lead to this storm forming further out into the Atlantic because it's more of a progressive flow. On the NAM, the newest one with the latest data, sees a little bit more of a negative tilt. Just a slight negative tilt, and then by the time we get to around midnight, this is a clear negative tilt. On the GFS though, it's a little bit more subtle. So this more of a subtle influence, because we're just starting to get influence from the Arctic disturbance, leads to the storm forming further out in the Atlantic and more of a lighter snowfall event. However, if it does what the NAM is showing and what the SREF is showing and what the a lot of the mesoscale models are starting to show, and I'm curious to see what the new GFS is going to show, then this solution leads to a far heavier snowfall. And the fact that there's such a divide in the models, because you're talking about a 3-hour difference between this phase. The phase is going to happen. The question is just when. So in this type of scenario, you're ending up with a very volatile forecast. So here's the going forecast for now. Start time for the snow for this event. I have 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. This is basically snow showers, not steady snow. Steady snow, I'm looking between 5 p.m. and 8 a.m. on Friday. Could be very heavy snow with the potential for, near whiteout conditions, as this is going to be a very intense, heavy, quick snowfall. Then the storm ends between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Friday, and we all dig out. Currently, I'm expecting 8 to 14 inches of snow over the interior, it's basically from Connecticut and the Hudson River Valley. This could be significantly higher if the NAM solution takes hold. But for right now, I'm not expecting single digits for temperatures. If that's the case, with those type of temperatures, you could be pushing into the 20-inch range here. In the dark blue, that includes much of the New York City metropolitan area, Long Island, back towards northeastern Pennsylvania, including Scranton, looking at 6 to 9 inches of snow. Again, if it's the NAM solution, add a 1 here. In other words, you're looking at over a foot of snow if the NAM solution takes hold. Light blue area is basically central New Jersey back through Philadelphia and much of southeastern Pennsylvania. Looking at 3 to 6 inches of snow. Again, if this is the NAM solution, you're going to be doubling these totals easily in this scenario here. So we're going to have to really watch this. It's going to be a very, very difficult forecast to nail down. And then in the yellow sections, that's from Philadelphia on south, including York, Pennsylvania. Looking at 2 to 4 inches of snow. Could see a little bit of rain mix in there at the start. Again, if it's a heavier snowfall event, this is going to be a lot higher if the NAM model guidance is true. Then basically, if the NAM model guidance is true, take this dark purple and extend it down to Philadelphia. That's basically what we're dealing with here. And then in the pink section, which is coastal southeastern New Jersey, southern New Jersey, and back towards the Delmarva Peninsula, I'm currently going 1 to 3 inches of snow, rain snow mix over to snow. Again, like I said, if this is an event like the NAM is showing, then basically take this light blue area, we have 3 to 6, and transplant that down towards southern New Jersey. So, of course, the start of the new year, you can't have an easy forecast with a snowstorm. So I'm definitely going to be watching this storm carefully. It's a matter of 3 hours. 3 hours between this being a moderate snowfall event to something that would be crippling, quite frankly. With very heavy snowfall, high snow ratios, strong winds, it would be ugly, very ugly on Thursday night into Friday morning. So, of course, I'll be keeping an eye on this storm and see how it evolves. Of course, I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Follow the latest weather information at nynjpaweather.com and nynjpaweather on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and LinkedIn. As always, stay safe out there.